Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is the Sky Priestess. So, Capricorn full moon is coming up. I wanted to do a different video yesterday, but I saw other things that came up which need to be addressed. Now, there is a lot of hype surrounding this full moon, and as an astrologer, I can understand why. But there's also a lot of hysteria that surrounds this energy, and that is something I am not cool with endorsing or condoning, at least not in my practice. So what I've been doing is sitting with this energy and seeing what it evokes in myself and in the people around me whom I interact with. And this is what I can say from experience, rather than looking at the chart and going, this is this, that is that, that is that, because really astrology just reflects energy. And if you can read energy now and maybe a little while in the future, astrology helps to give you a language to interpret that, but you're still just reading the energy. What I see that has been coming up that is probably pushing and triggering more people than usual is really the reawakening of ancient ancestral contacts, or contacts and contracts. You know, some of us have ancestral contracts that go from a very, very long time ago, especially if we come from a culture or race or land that is steeped in a shamanic or other indigenous tradition that has attributes of shamanism. Most of them did. We are, and even if you don't come from those cultures, we still do feel the influence of our ancestors in very powerful ways. This may be a time to realize that some of those ancestors need a little bit more recognition in your lives, and sometimes where you realize you're going to have to draw a big line between you and an ancestor who is not particularly friendly. Doing this by yourself is not recommended unless you have significant shamanic training, experience, and competence. It's not a word people like being leveled at them, especially when they are on the path and learning, but this is something I cannot stress enough. As I wrote about in my piece on shamanism yesterday, approaching shamanism, experiencing it, and gaining mastery of it is a process that takes time, experience, a lot of lower chakra work, and detachment. If this is a place where you are working towards, or perhaps you haven't quite held that energy inside yourself yet, it would be wise for you to work with an experienced and competent facilitator in working through some of the ancestral contracts that are coming out now. For some people, this will also involve working with, and I'm differentiating it very clearly here, 1, thought forms that come up as a projection of your subconscious mind, 2, entities that exist in their own dimensions and own dimensional spaces. And a lot of these can come through ancestral lines and ancestral contracts. We are, whether or not we decide to use these words, to use these perspectives and paradigms, we are all feeling this energy, and it is a heavy energy. People are becoming irritable because they don't know where this heaviness is coming from. And so, if you really wanted to, those are some perspectives that can help. Within ourselves, we are also challenged to look at just how we relate to power, what we are willing to do for power, and why we may be seeking power when what we really should be seeking is, rather than power without, power within. Very often we are tempted either by things that seduce us, things that look alluring, things that look like something that we must absolutely have or engage with in order to be more fully ourselves because we feel inadequate. And at the same time, we may feel as though we need to step into something bigger than ourselves because, again, there is this feeling of innate inadequacy or innate insecurity. Either way, a lot of shamans, priestesses, priests, and facilitators are facing the temptation of power, whether it's power that makes you feel bigger than you actually are, or power that, well, does the same thing in a way that actually helps you, at least temporarily, mask your own fears and vulnerabilities. There is a bullying dynamic and a shadow dynamic that is coming out very, very strongly through the Capricornian energy at this time, and especially with Pluto's positioning as part of this full moon. So discernment, groundedness, centering, and finding competent facilitators who can help you through the process if that is what you want to work on now. Be gentle with yourself as best as you can. If you must work intensely during this period, as some of us are called to do, take the time out to rest, to drink pure water. You can use Elite Noble Shungai to purify your water if you wish. Google up on that if that interests you or intrigues you. just make sure that you actually give some breathing room and space for your body to integrate and release what is coming up for you at this time. At an individual level, I would say this is one of the best ways for you to prepare for this upcoming full moon. Yes, we are likely to see heightened situations in which tempers are flaring, perhaps even violent incidents. If you're looking at society and humanity as a whole, we may also see geological movements, and I'm not saying like a chain of volcanoes erupting all over the planet, but certainly a higher incidence of geological activity, as Capricorn is associated with the mountains. But to be honest, there's not much we can necessarily do about that at this time. Humanity has already set itself on a certain trajectory, and right now the dominoes are just falling the way we've lined them up. So what we do is we send love to the collective. We take accountability for the actions that we as individuals have power and have control over, without trying to extend ourselves outwards too far, without trying to hide away from the internal work that needs to be done. This is what each and every single one of us can do as individuals in preparation for this immense cosmic alignment. Remember that Capricorn teaches you by showing you how to incrementally build a legacy, a foundation that will carry you through the test of time. Consider if your legacy is going to be one of fear and reaction to potential violence, harm, or pain. Or consider if your legacy is going to be one of a legacy of self works as well, but a legacy of really self-love that extends to love for all others and for all things. But consider what exactly you want to build and anchor as yourself, in yourself at this time. Yes, everything is heavy. Yes, everyone is going through it. But maybe it's because I am a Capricorn, but I would say we've got a lot more to learn from this moon if we actually allow ourselves to experience what does come up. This will be a time where certain contracts are solidified and certain contracts are broken and dissolved completely. So give yourself room to explore, give yourself room to express, give yourself room to be. And through all of that, you're going to just come home to the fact that within you, there is an incredible power and an incredible strength. You don't need to measure that in terms of what somebody else is doing or what you can do to somebody else or what somebody else can do to you. It is about you anchoring yourself. Capricorn is related to the root chakra. So anchor, anchor, anchor away. Try working with gemstones like black obsidian, shungite, hematite. Those will work very, very well. If you are working with essential oils, grounding oils such as cedarwood, nurturing oils such as geranium and myrrh would be also wonderful things to work with at this time. So yeah, it'll be okay. You've survived worse. I've survived worse. We have come through since 2012 and more is to come. But you know what? Humanity, we will be okay through this. So, ciao.